I was standing in my own kitchen when my daughter handed me the folder. Not a birthday card. Not a photo album. A legal document with my name printed across the top in bold black letters. Estate distribution plan. My hands were still wet from washing dishes. I remember because the water dripped onto the paper, making the ink blur slightly at the corner. Emma stood there with her arms crossed, her expression somewhere between impatient and determined. Behind her, my son Marcus leaned against the doorframe, barely looking at me. I opened the folder. Inside was a spreadsheet. Column A listed everything I owned: my house, my car, my retirement account, even the jewelry my mother had left me. Column B showed who would get what. Column C had estimated values in red font. They had appraised my life. While I was still living it, Emma said something about planning ahead and avoiding probate complications. Marcus nodded in agreement without looking up from his phone. That's when I saw it, clipped to the back. A business card for a nursing home called Sunset Meadows. Someone had written on the back in Emma's handwriting, "Tour scheduled Thursday, 2 p.m. It was Tuesday. I was 62 years old. Healthy. Active. Still working part-time at the library I'd loved for 30 years. And my children were already deciding where to put me away so they could divide up everything I'd spent my entire life building. What I didn't know then was that this folder was just the beginning. Because the truth I'd discover would make this moment look like kindness, that I didn't sleep that night. The folder sat on my nightstand, and every time I closed my eyes, I saw that spreadsheet. My house valued at $420,000. My retirement account listed at $78,000. I'd raised them alone after their father walked out when Marcus was 7 and Emma was 5. I'd worked double shifts as a nurse, then moved to the library when my back gave out. Every penny I didn't spend on bills went to their college funds, their summer camps, their first cars. Emma had a business degree. Marcus worked in marketing. Both seemed successful: nice apartments, vacation photos, lives that looked full and independent. I'd been so proud. The next morning, my sister Ruth called for our Sunday chat. When I told her about the folder about the nursing home card, there was a long silence. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. "Janet, did you check your accounts recently?" I hadn't. Why would I? Emma had convinced me 2 years ago to add her as joint account holder on my savings for emergencies. Marcus had power of attorney for healthcare decisions after my surgery. These were normal things. Responsible things. Ruth stayed on the phone while I logged into my bank account. My checking looked normal, but my savings account showed $11,000. It should have been $43,000. The transaction history revealed transfers over 18 months. 500 here, 2,000 there, sometimes 5,000 at once. All approved by Emma. All moved to an account I didn't recognize. The most recent transfer was 5 days ago. $3,000. The day before Emma had shown up with that folder. I thought I'd raised them to be better than their father. Turns out, I'd raised them to be worse that I drove to Emma's apartment without calling. She lived downtown in a building with a doorman. Her apartment had restoration hardware furniture, designer appliances, gallery art on the walls. I'd always assumed her job paid well, but standing there, I started doing math that made me nauseous. I held up my phone showing the bank statements. Emma's face shifted through surprise, calculation, then defiance. She poured herself wine even though it was 11 in the morning and told me the truth. She and Marcus had been living beyond their means for years. Emma had 47,000 Instagram followers and sponsored content deals that required her to look wealthy. She'd been using my money to maintain an image she couldn't afford. Marcus was worse. He'd lost his job 8 months ago and hadn't told anyone. He'd been using his power of attorney to take loans against my retirement account. But here's what broke something inside me. They weren't even sorry. Emma explained it like a business transaction. They decided that since they were inheriting everything eventually anyway, it made more sense to access the money now when they could use it to build their futures. The nursing home was nice, she said. I'd be taken care of. Honestly, Mom, she said, swirling her wine, it's not like you need that big house anymore. You're alone. You just work and watch TV. We have lives we're trying to build. Real opportunities. asked about my mother's jewelry listed on their spreadsheet. Emma took a long sip. It had been sold 6 months ago. $12,000 split between them. She'd used her portion as a down payment on a timeshare in Cabo. My mother's engagement ring. My grandmother's pearls from Poland. The gold locket with my baby pictures. All of it gone. Turned into vacation photos. I drove straight to Marcus's place. He at least looked ashamed. His apartment was smaller, messier. He confirmed everything Emma said and added worse details. He hadn't just lost his job, he'd been fired for falsifying expense reports. He'd been using my money to pay off a gambling debt. He owed $17,000 to someone he wouldn't name. "I'll pay you back," he said, not meeting my eyes. But we both knew he wouldn't. I went to the nursing home tour the next day because I needed to understand their full plan. Sunset Meadows was nice. Too nice. $6,000 a month. Emma asked about amenities, took brochures, played concerned daughter perfectly. In the car afterward, I asked how I was supposed to afford this place. She looked at me like I was being dense. "You sell the house, Mom. Use that money. When it runs out, you go on Medicaid. By then, Marcus and I will have our feet under us." It wasn't a plan to care for me. It was a plan to liquidate me. That night, I hired a private investigator named Dennis Kowalski. He called me in 4 days. Emma hadn't just been stealing. She'd been forging documents. Bank transfers with my signature I'd never signed. Marcus had taken out a home equity line against my house, something that wasn't even legal without my explicit consent. But here's the twist. They'd been planning this for 3 years. Dennis found emails between Emma and Marcus starting after their father died broke with no inheritance. They turned their attention to me. The emails were cold, calculated. Emma had researched elder law and nursing home costs. Marcus had looked into power of attorney loopholes. They discussed it like a business merger, calling me the asset. One email from Emma made me physically ill. "She won't fight it. She's too passive. She spent her whole life taking care of us. She won't suddenly grow a spine now." She was right. The old me wouldn't have fought. But something crystallized in that moment. I'd spent 40 years being their mother. It was time to teach them one final lesson that I spent 2 weeks preparing. I removed Emma from all accounts, changed every password, hired an estate lawyer, and revoked Marcus's power of attorney, naming Ruth instead. Then I did something that felt both liberating and devastating. I sold my house. A developer had been trying to buy properties in my neighborhood for months, offering above market value. I accepted $460,000. I used part of it to buy a small condo near Ruth. The rest went into accounts neither child could touch. I didn't tell them until everything was final. Emma showed up at my former house with a realtor she'd secretly contacted. She found the new owners moving in. She called me screaming about how I'd ruined everything, how they'd counted on that money, how selfish I was being. I told her I'd donated $50,000 to a women's shelter in my mother's name, the same amount they'd stolen from me. The rest was securing my actual retirement. Marcus called crying, saying the people he owed money to were threatening him. He begged me to help. I told him I'd pay for counseling. Nothing more. They both threatened legal action. My lawyer sent them copies of the forged documents and fraudulent transfers. They went quiet. 6 months later, I'm settled in my condo. I volunteer at the local library. Ruth and I have dinner twice a week. I've started painting again, something I gave up when they were born. Emma's Instagram following has dropped. Without my money, the facade crumbled. Marcus finally found a job, entry-level but honest work. They don't call anymore. Sometimes I see Emma's posts and feel a ghost of what we had. But mostly, I feel something I haven't felt in years, free. I raised them to believe family meant sacrifice. What I should have taught them was that love without respect isn't love at all. If you've got aging parents, call them. Not because you want something, but because you love them. And if you're a parent wondering if your kids see you as a burden, trust your gut. Sometimes the hardest thing we do is save ourselves from the people we die for. The inheritance they wanted so badly, they lost it the moment they stopped seeing me as their mother and started seeing me as a transaction. And honestly, I've never slept better. They valued her house, her car, her jewelry. They forgot to value her. Your peace is priceless. Protect it at all costs. If you stand with Janet, subscribe. Like this if you'd have sold the house too. Share her win. And comment your story below.